All right, well, thanks for having me up. I'm very excited to get here. I'm frankly excited generally to get anywhere that's not Madison. So it's a little bit of a circus sometimes down there. So no, I'm happy to come and talk. I have a whole team of marketing folks, and they try to help me kind of prepare for these things. And usually rule number one is don't start with the bad news. But they're not here today, so I'm going to start with the bad news. You probably read a little bit about us in the paper recently, so I just wanted to kind of touch on that because my presentation really is about, I think, the good news and the good things that are going on and the really exciting things that are going on. I think it's important just to touch on the news a little bit. WEDC, and I'll talk a little bit about our creation, but it was, as Tom said, a conversion from the Department of Commerce to a new public-private entity. We went from 300 employees to 50 employees on day one with retirements and transfers. And now we're back up to full staff at about 100. But in that transition, there were some bumps and some mistakes that some folks at that time made. But I think we're getting a very good handle on them now. I think we're in a very different place than we were last year. And those bumps largely related to kind of, frankly, the boring stuff. It's the internal systems, processes, those sorts of things. The exciting things that WEDC does that I'm going to tell you about, I think have been working very well for a year. And I think a lot of our partners, many of whom are in the room, will tell you about, I think, the tremendous difference that's been made in the last year and a half, and how, Tom talked about teamwork, and that really is about what WEDC is all about. It used to be very siloed. You had your, local, municipal economic development folks, your county economic development folks, your regionals, and then you had this sort of Department of Commerce down in Madison that was very sort of distant and aloof from all of that. And I think one of the primary goals of WEDC was to really integrate all of those teams. We talk about an extended enterprise, and I think what that really means is an extended partnership. You work with us, we work with you, and we're all kind of in one team to help grow jobs in Wisconsin. We're very excited to do that. So, where were we? Wisconsin, the last 10 years had not been in a great place. Consistently ranked very low in places to do business around the country. And the Department of Commerce was frankly just ill-equipped to handle this. It was very reactionary. We waited for folks to come to us. We had sort of very set bureaucratic programs. You either qualified or you didn't. And you generally had reams and reams of forms and paperwork to fill out. It just was not a welcoming environment. And the feedback from businesses was constantly, you don't make me feel like this is a place I want to come and grow my company. And so something really had to be done. And so a broad bipartisan group of policymakers, legislators, folks from the administration, folks from business and industry, folks from labor, consultants. They really came together in an effort called the Be Bold study and did a huge comprehensive study of economic development in Wisconsin and came forward with a set of proposals in 2010. And one of them was the creation of WEDC, a public-private entity that would do what we just talked about, bring everybody together into one effort around job creation, break down all the silos, and really have everybody start working together. It would develop a brand campaign for our entire state, which we have never had before. A lot of regions, a lot of counties had very strong brand campaigns. Regions did to varying degrees, but the state really lacked it. I mean, what is Wisconsin known for? It's beer, it's cheese, it's Packers. Over here, it might be Vikings a little bit sometimes, but it was beer, cheese, and Packers, and that's great, and that's a part of who we are. But we're also a wonderful place to do business, and around the country, that isn't how we were thought of, and Wisconsin really wasn't in that game. And so building a brand campaign around what a great place we are to do business, building the tools and technology for economic development to link all those efforts, align the state and local resources so that we're all working in one direction. And just a note on that, I think there's often this perception that the state loves to come into municipalities and say, here's how it's going to be. And I know that the folks at WEDC, certainly myself, our secretary, Reed Hall, and our economic development team know that you guys are usually the ones on the ground who really know what's going on. So we want to follow your lead. We want you guys to tell us what's needed and how can we come in and be helpful. And we really committed to that. And it's really, I think, been a great partnership so far. And then the last bullet really gets at the heart of WEDC, and that's to develop innovative programs. The way this used to work is someone have a great idea. We should have this, incentive for a business. So how do we do that? We have to go to the legislature. We have to convince a legislator to draft a bill. We have to introduce it. We have to have hearings in the legislature. We have to have a vote in the committee. Then we got to have a vote on the floor. Then we got to go to the other house and have another vote in the committee and a vote on the floor. And then we got to convince the governor to sign it. And then we got to write, 1,000 pages of administrative rules. And then 2 years later, we have a great program. WEDC, the legislature, I think really had a vision for we have to move faster than that. We can't go through this process anymore. And so WEDC has very broad authority that when we see a need, we can write a quick policy, we can write a quick program, and we can just get it out the door in a matter of weeks, not months or years. And I think that really gets to the heart of the difference between us. We can really be very responsive. So, doing business like a business. And this is where I get, there we go. So I think one of the keys is the way we've thought through our programs. It's not about, it's not from a government perspective of, do you check this box and can we help you? It's what does the customer need? What does the business need? And so it starts with marketing our business climate. We have a very different product today than we had 2 years ago. And a new product needs a new marketing campaign. We're a better place to do business. Our rankings are all going up. Our taxes are going down. Our regulations are being streamlined. We have a much better litigation environment than we had a few years ago. And nobody around the country knows that. And so building that marketing campaign is really important. And I say no one around the country knows that. A lot of people in the state don't know that. And so it's also important to market us to us. One of the most frustrating things that I hear sometimes is a business owner saying, look, I'm from Wisconsin. I built my company here. I love living here. But when I expand, I'm going to probably do that somewhere else because this isn't a great place for my company. And we hate hearing that. And frankly, it's just not true anymore. It might have been true a few years ago. It just isn't true anymore. And so marketing us to us is really important. Developing that economic development agent network. And those are folks like all of our local partners, regional partners, developing that network and really having the calls going back and forth. It shouldn't matter where the call comes in. A business doesn't care, oh, well, I have to call the region for this or the state for that or the local folks for this. No matter where that call comes in, it should instantly get into an integrated system, and that person should be steered right to where they need to be. It shouldn't be this maze that's really difficult to find your way through. And then delivering assistance at the speed of business in the way businesses need it. And I'll be honest, this is probably the hardest area. It's difficult, to balance accountability and transparency in government with the speed of business sometimes. But I think we've made a tremendous amount of progress. Instead of taking 6 months or 8 months to work a deal through WEDC, we can often get it done in a month to 2 months. And our goal over the next 2 years is to drop that time down to 2 weeks and really get this process moving through and work at the speed of business. So some of the enhanced capabilities that we've been working on the last year and a half, these are actually pretty exciting. And these are things the Department of Commerce had never really tackled before. But ConnectED, an online searchable database of economic development resources. I mean, that doesn't seem like rocket science, but it isn't something the Department of Commerce had ever worked on. Site selection and economic modeling tools. These are great for site selectors all around the country as they work with big national companies about where should we even be looking to build a new factory or a new distribution center or what have you. Having those tools ready and available online so a site selector can come in, they can say, okay, I need 100,000 square feet, it needs to be this close to a major highway, I need this sort of water and power hookup. Having those things readily available online in a searchable way makes Wisconsin such a better place to come and do business. Locate in Wisconsin is another part of that tool. And then certified in Wisconsin. I mean, why should we wait to certify sites that are ready to go? Let's just get them done, get them ready, and we can market them to a business that's shovel ready. You can come and you can start building next week if you want. Again, these are, I think, really common sense things that were very difficult for some reason to do over the last 20 years that we've made a tremendous amount of progress on in just the last year. As we get down to initiatives, revolving loan funds, and I know you'll hear a little more about that in a bit. But that's a really great tool for especially smaller businesses. A lot of the businesses we work with are talking about adding 50 jobs, 100 jobs, 200 jobs, and that's great. But that's only, frankly, a small part of building our economy. Small business is really the backbone of the economy. And so, that $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 loan they need to just, enhance their cash flow and just get by for a little bit, that's really one of the most critical parts of that. And I think the revolving loan funds are a great tool to get at that. Project Apollo. This was probably, I think, one of the most innovative things we had done. It was a little controversial, but I really do think this was innovative. This was a look inward at ourselves. What do we do well and what don't we do well? So what we had was we had a fake company. Well, let me step back. We contracted with Deloitte Consulting, a big international consulting firm, to say we really want to examine ourselves and our process so that we can make it better. And so they came up with a phony company and request for proposal, and we bid that out across the whole state. And it was a way for us to examine, where do we excel at responding to these things and where do we have weaknesses and how can we improve those weaknesses. And since that time, we've held a couple of dozen informational sessions around the state with economic development professionals to talk about here's how you did and here's how we can get better. And I can tell you WEDC had a lot of places we can get better at this. And so we're right there with our local partners saying we can always be improving. But it's that continuous improvement culture that's so important to making Wisconsin not just a great place today, but a great place forever to do business. We have to always be looking inward and trying to improve. So that's something that never would have been possible in the past. I'm actually very proud of the fact that we did that. Salesforce. I think folks are probably pretty familiar with Salesforce. It's a customer relationship management tool. Again, this is not rocket science. This is something that you would think an economic development organization would do, but the Department of Commerce never had. And so we've implemented this. It's a great way for us to track business leads and business opportunities. And what our hope is that we're going to be able to integrate this over time, again, with all of our local partners. Because again, it shouldn't matter where the business makes their first phone call to. It should get into the same system with the same folks and help steer that business where they need to be, rather than leaving them to figure it out on their own. Direct financial assistance. So I'm going to talk now a little bit about some of the specific initiatives and programs that we have. The one you hear the most about, the one that's in the paper usually the most, is our direct financial assistance to businesses. Any company looking to expand, to relocate here, we're very eager to work with them. And we have a number of programs from loans, grants, tax credits, and they're all based on job creation. They're all based on capital investment. And I think they've been, over the last year, very successful. This is just kind of a summary sheet of the work that we've done in 2012. And I think the most important column is the last column. We're all taxpayers. We all want to make sure that our money's being invested well. We want to make sure that we're not just handing out corporate welfare. We want to make sure that our money's being used to leverage real private dollars. And you can see that in every category we've really excelled at leveraging those private dollars to make sure that we're a catalyst and incentive. We don't want to be the whole ecosystem. We want to help build it. So that's just kind of a snapshot of the work we did last year. A little bit of tooting our own horn here, but I think when we work well and when business can work with us well, it really is a win-win for everybody. Loans get a lot of attention. Should we really be handing out these low-interest loans? How hard do you really try to collect them? All those sorts of things. And I think it's important for folks to understand there's really two ways here for that the taxpayers win. I mean, yes, you get your loan paid back, and that's great, but it's the jobs that are created, the tax revenue those jobs create, and then the indirect jobs that are created in all of our communities because of those first round of jobs. So it really is, when it works, a win-win for everybody. One of the very exciting areas we're in is startup companies, new technologies, new innovations, the Qualified New Business Venture Program, QNBV. This is an area where Wisconsin was really innovative. In 2005, we passed this law. It really has become a national model for incenting investment in new startup companies. And you can see the success that we've had with that. But states like Minnesota and Illinois and all across the country have adopted almost exactly the law that we did here. But it provides a 25% tax incentive for any investor into a new qualified business venture. So it has been a tremendously successful program at building the economy. And I know I'm being hosted by a law firm, so I'd be remiss if I didn't make a pitch for service providers, law firms, accountants, insurance companies. As these opportunities come across your desk, because a lot of times you're going to see them before we do, a new startup company, talk to them about the QMBV program. It's been a huge success for so many companies. I know we have some great examples in the area here that have taken advantage of this program, but we really rely on you to help feed a lot of these folks down to us so that we can help them get this credit. We have a lot of unused capacity here, and we'd love to do more of these deals. Some of the seed investments we've made, and these are some of, I think, very exciting projects at Whitewater, in Milwaukee at Vet Transfer and Victory Spark, and then in Western, in the Eau Claire area, the Innovation Foundation. So this is about training entrepreneurs. A lot of folks who have great ideas aren't necessarily folks who really know how to run a business. And this is about training the people who have the great idea to get their company off the ground, identify who their customers and who their market's going to be, and really teach them how to reach out and start selling. And the goal is to get to commercialization as fast as you can. Ideas are great, but if you can't make any money at it, it doesn't move you very far. And so all of these programs are designed to get entrepreneurs off the ground and teach them how to run a business. And we really want to, over the next 2 years, build a lot more of these in all corners of the state. Ideas aren't limited to Madison or Milwaukee. They're everywhere. Unfortunately, the infrastructure has largely existed in Madison and Milwaukee, and we want to change that. We want to get that out everywhere around the state and build these companies in all the communities. Export assistance. Boy, talk about a bright spot in the Wisconsin economy. Exports are up every year for the last 10. and usually at double-digit growth. Exports have been growing exponentially, and there's a tremendous growth potential here. Only 1% of all companies export, and of the 1%, 60% only export to one country. This is a tremendous opportunity. I had the chance in April to go with Governor Walker to China on his first trade mission, and I can just tell you the growth potential in that one country alone is enormous. And any company that's any consumer product or manufacturer that's not selling in China is missing an enormous opportunity. And that goes for so many places around the world, and we want to help you. Exporting is not easy. It's tough to navigate your way through foreign laws, foreign customs, but we're there to help. We can provide some direct grant assistance to help you get there. We have contractors in 34 countries that can help you get into a market, set up meetings for you with local distributors or local partners, and really help you navigate through that process. And we're very eager to do that. And this is another area where WEDC has really grown. The Department of Commerce had 4 international offices. We have 34. It's really a place where we want to get aggressive. Industry sectors. This is kind of the foundational part of what we do, and it's the part I have the hardest time explaining to legislators generally, because this is the one where I can't say, all right, this dollar created that job. But this is, I think, one of the most important things we do. This is the foundational work. This is the research. This is the industry clusters and consortium. This is about problem solving across driver industries. And this is the stuff that may not create a job tomorrow, but 10 years from now, all of our successes are going to be tied to this, what we're doing today. It's a very exciting area. We're working at things like water, forest products, agriculture, bioag. It's a really exciting area to be. We're working a lot with frac sand. I mean, is there a way that we can expand this in a responsible way that limits the impact on communities but still takes advantage of the potential growth of that industry? Military bases. Wisconsin actually has a number of military installations, and how can we leverage the fact that we're taking in all those federal dollars there and build an economic cluster around those areas? So this is, I think, very exciting work, but it is a little bit intangible, but I'm very excited about where we're going with that. And then finally, our marketing. This has probably been the biggest departure from the Department of Commerce, which never had a concerted marketing campaign for the state. We've spent a year developing the In Wisconsin campaign. We're now in the process of deploying that out and working with our local partners on how we can work together on that. And I think the key here is every part of the state's different. This is an area that is integrally tied to the Minneapolis-St. Paul market, and growth there means growth here. And we have to recognize that as we work together. And so there's going to be times where In Wisconsin works. There's going to be times where it doesn't. And we're very open to figuring out how that partnership evolves over time. But we do think it's important that the state really market itself in a cohesive way all around the country and all around the world. As I said before, we have a new product, and we need people to know that this really is a great place to do business. So with that, we are in the midst of the state budget process. I'm going to gloss through this pretty quick because people's eyes start to glaze over when you start talking about the state budget. But I think we have a number of exciting things coming through. We're expanding the tax credit programs that we talked about. Just to take 2 examples, our Economic Development Tax Credit Program and the Jobs Tax Credits. This is an area where taxpayers have invested a little over $100 million over the last 4 years. That has leveraged $2 billion in private investment, and it's created over 25,000 jobs. So it's an incredible program that's, I think, had huge success. It's about to run out, and so the legislature is set to renew it and increase that allocation. The Angel Investment Tax Credit, that's the QMBV we talked about before. We're lifting the lifetime cap on that because it's about to expire. So that program is going to continue on. We're modifying some of the tax credit programs to make them just run a little more efficiently for business owners. Expanding the marketing programs, we're actually quadrupling our marketing effort. We spent I think it was a little under $2 million last year, and we're set to quadruple that in the next 2 to really make a statement about Wisconsin being a different place. I'm going to kind of skip over the next 2. So I've taken a lot of your time. I don't know if we're going to do questions now or later. All right, we're going to do them later. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come today.